Hey, what's up, everyone? It's me, Anthony, aka Icy or Lalo, and I'm back for my second video. And this one's gonna be called "Growing Up as Tony" because before there was an Anthony, Icy, or Lalo, there was just Tony. And yeah, it's just basically gonna be about my childhood, what it was like, just kind of to get to know me as a kid, what kind of, just what kind of kid I was. And, but before I start that, I, I would like to thank everyone for taking the time to watch my first ever YouTube video. It's crazy. I think I ended up having like 150 views, which is crazy because honestly I didn't think, you know I, I was just really surprised. I thought like I would have been cool with like 20 views. I didn't think it'd be that many views, so I do want to thank everyone for taking the time to watch that video because that's it was cool. And I got a lot of likes and a few comments. But yeah, when I sent the video out to like my friends and family, I got really good, just good reviews, good feedback, good criticism, just different, ideas, different opinions, um, like someone told me like, wow, Anthony, you look nervous as shit. And I was, and I still am. This is gonna take a lot of time, for me to get used to this. And I've also had someone say like, oh, don't hold back, speak truth, be honest. And because I, I believe that the more vulnerable you are, the more people can relate to you, to your story. And yeah, and it was all, I got all love, and of course like my family and friends, they're not gonna be mean, they're not gonna be like, Anthony, you sucked, that video was whack. But um no, like, it was, I think everyone was genuinely honest, and yeah, so I just want to say thank you, for doing that, for watching that, video. I also had questions like, okay, so how often are you gonna, record videos? How often are you gonna put out videos? And I would like to do it, once a month. And I know that sounds like crazy because I know like the typical YouTube person puts it out like, once a week, every other week, or whatever. But I'm not the typical YouTube person. Like, this is my story, and it's special to me, and I want to share it when I want to share it. But I would definitely like to put at least one video out every month, and so it could be anywhere from the beginning to the end of the month. So yeah, that's my plan. This, like I said in my first video, this isn't, my goal isn't to like gain some type of fame from this. Like, it's not to make some type of money. Like, it's just for me. This channel is for myself, and it's just kind of like telling my story to myself, and but also like, sharing it to anyone who, anyone that wants to kind of look out to, like, some type of, guidance or advice. I'm not like this, I don't want to say I'm like this doctor, like this therapist or something. I'm nothing like that, even though I've had that term many times. Like, people are like, oh, Anthony, you gotta be my counselor. I got stuff to talk about. And it's a great feeling, to have someone come up to me and say those things, and it's a good feeling to know that I'm able to help someone in some way. So what better way to help someone than, share my story and, you know, you know, record it. So yeah, this is my second video, and I want to just kind of dabble a little bit about my childhood. I'm not going to get like all specific and depth and detail, Oh, another thing too is I also want to record these videos about like 30 minutes, you know. Um, so let's begin. Uh, so yeah, so before, I was Anthony and Icy and Lalo. Those names kind of didn't come out till later on, like in my teenage years, you know. Um, but before that, my name was just Tony, you know. And so that's why I want to call this video "Growing Up as Tony." You know, who was Tony? What kind of kid was he? Like, what kind of stuff did he learn? What did he go through? Things like that. Uh, so let me just start out by saying, I I was born. I was born in Chandler, Arizona. I definitely would consider that my hometown, even though I wasn't raised there. Technically, I kind of was raised everywhere. And everywhere, like, meaning like just different cities, different towns in Arizona, different states, even a different country at one point in my life. Um, yeah, so I was born in Arizona, Chandler, Arizona, and my dad was in the military. He was in the army, and so we moved around because of that. We lived in the military bases. Um, when I was 2 years old, we moved. We moved. He moved out to Germany. So we lived in Germany. It was me, my mom, and my dad. And so I was 2 years old. I don't remember anything at all whatsoever. I wish I did. People ask me all the time, like, "Oh, what was it like?" I'm like, I don't remember because I was 2 years. I don't really remember anything under 5 years old. After that, I have a pretty good memory, but I don't remember any of, living in Germany, what it was like, and all that stuff. But I mean, I've seen pictures and videos, and I was like, wow, it's a beautiful place, but yeah, we lived out there for a couple years, and I actually have a sister who was born out there at a place called Frankfurt, Germany, and she's 2 years younger than me, so she was born when I was 2, and her name is Angelica, and so I am the oldest. That was my younger sister, and then we also moved out to Texas. Yeah, we lived in Texas, and that was like 95, 96, 97. So I was like 5, 6, 7 years old, and we lived there for a while in the military base. I think it was like called Fort Worth or Fort Hood, Killeen. I'm not really sure, but I do remember living in Texas though. That was really cool. I also had a little bit of family over there too, so that was cool. And I also had another sister that was born there in Texas. So yeah, I was born here in Arizona, sister in Germany, and another sister in Texas. And so I was like 7 when she was born. So we're like 7 years apart. And her name's Alexis. Yeah, so it was just me and my 2 younger sisters. And excuse me. I do want to have a video eventually about them, my relationship I have with them, and just kind of the things that the kind of relationship we had, the bond that we had, the things that just memories, stuff like that. So I'll definitely have a video dedicated to both of them. I love them a lot. And yeah, so it'll be a special video. But yeah, so I kind of moved everywhere, which was cool, and it wasn't. It was cool because, you live in different places, different states, around different people, environment, But then it kind of sucked as far as the whole schooling thing, it was really hard, to start over in a new school. Like, for my elementary years, literally every year was a different school, And it was hard. I didn't make a lot of friends. I wasn't a popular kid, I was really shy, quiet type of person. And my sisters were like that too. That's just how we were. We didn't really have a lot of friends. I mean, we did have friends as far as like the neighborhood kids, you know, like neighbors and stuff like that. Um, but it, you know, that was about it. But yeah, I had most of my family's in Arizona, here in Arizona. And I had, like, my mom's side was a really big family, you know, like the typical Mexican family. Um, Hundreds of cousins, you know, had like 5 aunts and 5 uncles. I don't know exactly. But it was a big family, you know, I had a lot of cousins, and, you know, we all grew up. And so, I mean, I also want to say that I am, as far as my nationality or I can't say that word. Ethnicity or whatever, race. I am Mexican, and um, I'm also Puerto Rican and Native American. So it's kind of cool. I have like a little mix. I'm mostly Mexican though. But yeah. So my mom's side of the family is where I get the Mexican from. My dad's too, and the Puerto Rican side is a little bit from my mom's side. So yeah, I had a, you know, really big family on my mom's side of the family. And as far as my dad's side of the family, it was like really small. It was the opposite. I had like one aunt and 2 uncles, and just a couple cousins, you know. Um, and it was like two different worlds, you know, as far as the families. Like it's crazy. I remember, you know, with my mom's side of the family, it was always fun. You know, we always had big gatherings, big parties. It was always everyone's birthday every month. Like we would just, it was. I had a really good childhood. You know, I this is like the thing I am grateful for, that it isn't a sad story. I don't have a messed up childhood, you know. This isn't that story. I was blessed to have a really good childhood, and I wouldn't take it back for the world. It's, you know, I had a big imagination as a kid, and I always, you know, had fun with my cousins, you know, playing games and just creating things, making things. Like, okay, for example, my grandma, my mom's mom, she lived literally across the street from a dairy. And so she lived in this town called Queen Creek in Arizona. And at that time, it was nothing but fields, you know, and just big open space. You know, it's nothing like it is now. It's really like turned into like a real city now. It's the population's crazy. But yeah, yeah, it was like our playground. You know, we had the dairy was like our playground. The fields were a playground. You know, we'd always, every day was something different, you know, come up with some kind of game or something. And it was just fun, you know. We used to like, there used to be tractors, and we'd jump on that, and we'd go and mess with the cows, and we just, you know, had this big imagination. Like, it was really cool, you know. And that was like my mom's side of the family. And my dad's side, I was the first grandchild. Yeah, I was the oldest of the grandkids, the oldest cousin, you know. And so my grandparents, my dad's parents, treated me like a king. You know, I was really crazy, spoiled brat. Like, it was terrible, you know. I had whatever I wanted, I got it, you know. I was like, nothing could harm me, you know. Like, my grandpa was always like extra super overprotective of me, to the point where it, you know, it did cause conflict between, you know, my parents and them, especially with my mom and my grandpa. They would kind of pull me apart, you know, and because it was bad, you know. I was really spoiled rotten. Like, I couldn't get hurt, I couldn't cry, whatever I wanted was mine. I was treated like a king, you know. That's it was like a different family, you know. But it was good. Like, you know, I was happy, you know. Like, I had a really good childhood, and I'm grateful for that. You know, it's hard to say that. It's hard to say that now. You know, like, I feel like the world's so much more difficult now, and it's changed so much. I'm not saying kids are having terrible childhoods now. I'm just saying it seemed like it was so much more simpler back then. You know, there wasn't a lot of like electronic distractions like we have now. You know, it was just go outside and find something to play with and make a game out of it, you know. So those are the kind of families I grew up in, and it was all good, you know. Um, I loved it. There's so many stories, and I wish I could tell you every single story, you know, like good and bad. But it would take like more than 30 minutes, you know, to tell all the stories. Um, but yeah, like I remember just, you know, moving around a lot. You know, we moved back to Arizona after. Oh, we also lived in Colorado at one time too. I don't think we. I think my dad was actually out of the military at that time. I'm not sure why we lived over there. I didn't really ask. Maybe I did, but I forgot. But yeah, that was cool. That was like after Texas. Like it was 99, like 98, 99. So I was like 8 or 9 years old, and that was really cool. It was a completely different state from Arizona. You know, really, as far as the weather, you know, and like it would snow over there all the time, and you know, I have good memories about that. You know, making snowmans, you know, playing snowball fights, going up to the mountains, and you know, I also had cousins that moved out there with us, with my like immediate family, so that was cool. But yeah, we used to. It was that was nice, you know, living in Colorado. The only thing that was scary about Colorado, I remember, like driving in the snow, like my parents driving in the snow. Like I remember one time my mom was taking me to school. I would never forget this. We had a Jeep. It was like a Jeep Cherokee or something like that, and it was a 4x4. But yeah, so she took me to school one day, and it was snowing, or there was a lot of snow and ice on the road, and I just remember like just like slipping and sliding like on the road, and like everybody would do it, you know what I mean, like kind of just everybody would slowly like slide, and it would freak me out. And I remember one time, like I don't know I don't know what happened. We lost control basically, and the Jeep just went spinning in circles, and I started crying. I got scared, and my mom was like, "Oh, we're okay." My mom was like shaking too, but like I don't think I would ever be able to live in this anywhere where it snows a lot. You know, even though I do like it and I think it's cool, but I just couldn't live in the snow. I'm more of a, like, if I were to live anywhere, I would have to live like close to the beach. I'm like a beach kind of person. I love the ocean, and it's just, I don't know. That's just me. You know, some people are like, "Oh, I want to live like where the mountains and pine trees and all that stuff," and you know, which is, it's just, it's not a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, everyone has different tastes, but for me it's the beach area. I'm sorry, I keep looking at myself over here. This is gonna take some more practice. So yeah, I had a really good childhood, and you know, I'm thankful for my parents for that. You know, they raised us really well. They raised us good. I had really amazing parents, and I love them both, and I still do. Um, you know, things didn't change till I got to like my teenage years. You know, when you know, my families just kind of started changing. Both my families, you know, my mom's side and my dad's side. Um, because I mean, my parents were married for a long time, and you know, they were having problems. But it wasn't until later. You know, like I was probably like in 2004 ish. I was like 14, 15. But that's another video. You know, we'll talk about that. But this is just about, you know, as being a kid. But yeah, Tony was, you know, the shy, quiet kid that had a big imagination, and who loved to write, you know, and in school, and you know, write stories and poems. You know, I was always the cousin with the, you know, the big imagination. All my cousins would come to me like, "Tony, what are we gonna play today? Like, what's your ideas? What do you see in your mind? What's on your mind? What are we gonna do?" You know, it was always, it was cool. Like I feel like I know I still have that. You know, I still have that mind, that creativity mind, like that big imagination. I always have these visions. You know, like things that I want to do, or you know, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a different world in my mind. You know, I was always the kid that thought too much. You know, like everyone would always say that, like, God, Anthony or Tony, you think too much, you know, and I still do to this day, you know. I'm at the, I'm sorry, hold on one second. I'm just looking at the time on my phone. But yeah, that's the kind of kid I was, you know. You know, my parents brought me up with, you know, they were strict, but not too strict to where it was uncomfortable until later. But yeah, my parents kind of just taught me how important education was. You know, they have always taught us, you know, to have morals, what's right and what's wrong. You know, they raised us well, and I never really said that to them, you know. I never thanked them, but I would like to now, you know. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for doing what you guys do, doing whatever you could, you know, to raise me and my sisters to be the people that you know, the adults we are today. Because if it wasn't for you guys, I think, you know, we wouldn't be who we are today, you know. And so I thank you guys for that. You guys are awesome parents, and I love you very much for that. But yeah, like, so things didn't change until, you know, I was 14, 15 years old. Or should I say things changed before that? As far as my personal life, which will probably be the next video, it's going to be about how I kind of found out I was gay. You know, it's going to be really interesting because, you know, people are always curious about, like, you know, how does that work? You know, are you born gay? Do you turn gay to, you know, someone turn you gay? Like, you know, there's always that question, and I have the answer. But that's just for me. Everyone's different. Everyone has a different story, you know, but mine's, like, the story that I have is very different compared to, I haven't heard anybody have a similar story to mine. But yeah, the next video will be about just kind of like the moment when I realized that I liked other boys. And, you know, I hope that it's gonna be a good video. I mean, all my videos will be good for me, but I mean, as far as, like, I hope I'm able to explain everything the way I want to explain everything. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I'm not sure what I'm gonna call that video yet, but oh, and I also wanted to say that I'm having trouble finding a microphone for my phone to record myself. So hopefully you can hear me now. The other video was, like, it seemed like it was a little bit too quiet, but I'm working on it. I'm trying to, you know, play with different microphones and see what works for my phone, what's compatible or whatever. But hopefully I get it right. This one that I just bought doesn't work, so that's why it sounds like this. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? I would like to kind of mention that, you know, another thing I remember about being a kid, excuse me, was music. Music had always been a big part of my life, you know, ever since I was a kid. You know, I grew up in a house where it was just different genres of music playing all the time. You know, my dad was into, like, the heavy metal, like, he was into, like, the Ozzy Osbourne, AC/DC, Metallica, you know, and my mom was, you know, listening to the Spanish music, you know, like, just different kinds of Spanish music, you know, like, I don't know, like cumbia or salsa, you know, and just different music, different Spanish music. And I just remember, like, you know, I just started to appreciate and have this love for music at a really young age. You know, I'd always sing and dance, and, you know, as I got a little bit older, I would put, like, little shows with me and my cousins, you know, like, I was the choreographer, and it was just it was just funny, like, thinking about it now, like, wow. you know, and when I got to my teen years, I started dancing a lot. My mom's the one actually that taught me how to dance when I was a kid. You know, she would kind of make me and my sisters dance like to Spanish music, which at that time as a kid you're like, oh, I don't want to dance this, you know. But I'm glad that she did teach us that, because now I love to dance, you know, all kinds of music. But yeah, I mean, so it was kind of like rock and Spanish, and then, but then me and my sisters, um, we just kind of were attracted to hip hop music, you know, and R&B and pop music. Um, but music definitely played a big part in my life as well as from my childhood, because I have a big passion for music now. It's like, you know, it's like my, I don't know how to say it, like my daily medicine, you know. um, I would, I agree with that thing when people say, you know, music is the, you know, universal language, and it really is. It's like everyone can kind of come together with music in some way or another, you know, some way. And yeah, I mean, I remember my dad used to play like the guitar, and my mom would sing, you know, when she was like cleaning or cooking, or, you know, there was just always music playing in my house. And it's just a good memory. Like I love that, you know. And there might be a video where I do like specifically dig into music, because I love talking about music, you know. But yeah, it definitely was a big part of my childhood, you know, because it was who I was. I was always listening to music. I was always dancing. I was always singing. You know, even as a little kid, I remember I would make up my own songs, like, and like my mom would tell me, she's like, you used to be in the shower, in the bath for like hours when I was little, and I would sing and make up these weird songs, you know, melodies, and it's just funny, like, you know. But yeah, so I am excited to record my next video, because I think that's when it's really gonna get interesting. Because I was 12 years old when things changed for my life. That's when I realized I was gay, and I just kind of want to say a little bit about it. You know, I was in middle school, and it was in sixth grade, and we were living in Apache Junction, Arizona at the time, and yeah, I just kind of met someone, just changed my life, you know. But that'll be the next video, you know. Okay, so I really hope that this video is okay. You know, like I said, if you do want to share this with anyone, that's great. That'll be great, you know. If not, that's fine too. If you want to like this video, it's fine. If not, that's fine. But yeah, I definitely love the feedback. You know, if you guys have any suggestions or ideas or opinions or comments, anything, you know, is definitely appreciated. Yeah, so I don't have a specific date that I'm gonna record a video and post it on YouTube. It's just, I definitely want to do it once a month for sure. And you know, we'll just see where it goes from there. But I do want to say that I thank you guys for, you know, for the positive feedback. It definitely inspired me a lot. You know, I've also had someone tell me like, wow, I can't believe you're doing this. You know, this is like, not crazy, but like, this is brave of you, you know, to do something like this. You're really putting your soul out there. You know, you're being as vulnerable as can be, and for the whole world to see and to judge, and, you know, to say whatever they want to say. But this is something I've always kind of wanted to do, you know. I also want to say that my social media, like my Twitter, my Instagram, and my Snapchat, will be in my description. So if you do want to follow me or add me, I'll follow you or add you back. And yeah, I just want to say, last thing I want to say is, you know, don't forget, learn how to love yourself. Amate. and I will see you next video. Take care.